We are live.
Yay!
Hooray! There's a little bit of delay, so I'd like to just confirm first that everyone can see and hear us.
All right.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear the gospel music behind me? Can everyone see us and hear us well? It's good to be here with you guys on Sunday. Morgan says, yay.
Hey.
Love beams. I told Morgan that I'm stealing that from her.
Oh.
So once you guys confirm that you can hear us. Yes, thank you, Brandy. Wonderful. So I'm here with the lovely Jasmine, who is our facilitator today. I'm so grateful that Jasmine is here with us to ask questions, to serve as a facilitator so that I'm not so distracted. So it's super helpful, and I so appreciate Jasmine's presence here. So why don't you introduce us to yourself? Tell us who you are.
Of course. As you mentioned, my name is Jasmine. If you have seen my videos, I do go by Gladiator in Sweats. What I do tend to do. All right. So what I do tend to do is do tarot readings and tarot sessions. I don't really tend to frame them around readings. I rather frame them around sessions just because I feel like a lot more can come through when we really listen to our intuition and really feel out what are the messages that are coming through us. So I guess really what I do on my channel is really going along the journey of really being fully human, being fully divinely human, and I guess showing how that looks for me and just relating to other people in that way. So that's really what I do on my channel. And as she mentioned, I'm really glad to be here and it's an honor to facilitate. And yeah, I'm really glad. So I hope that this is lovely and I'm excited to have this channeling with Toni Morrison today.
Yes, I'm excited for all of you to be here. And it was interesting as I was connecting with her this week, and she brought up creativity and methods and allowing the creativity to flow through you. And I was initially feeling like a little like, is this too like siloed? I want to make sure that everyone can connect with this message. And then I realized like everyone is a creator. Everyone can use this. And Jasmine and I were speaking earlier in the week, and you served as confirmation for me because you said along the lines of like, you don't feel like you're a creator. And it was like, you have children. How do you created life? How do you feel like you're not a creator? You're like the creator.
Right.
Operator. Is there anything that you want to elaborate on on your feelings about that? Just, I think it would be really helpful for everyone.
Sure. I think just starting from the basis of the way that our society really functions right now is based on what it is that you can produce, what is it that you can create, and how valuable can that creation be to other people. So when you kind of come from that sort of perspective, for a lot of us, it can feel hard to feel like we are creators because we feel like there has to be a value to someone else and we have to understand that value before we even create. Like there's a lot of mental things that we go through when we're really already creating and we're not recognizing how we create, or maybe we're stopping ourselves from creating because we're doubting ourselves or we're not valuing ourselves as creators. And so that's something that I really did recognize in talking with you, is that we don't really value ourselves as creators because a lot of it comes from the way we value ourselves and the way we value our creativity and the way in which we create and how we all create very differently too. So, I mean, it brings a lot of things to mind, honestly.
Mhm.
So, yeah, just really talking about how we can be creative and how creativity in itself is very fluid. There is no real image that, okay, that's creativity and then that's not. So I think that's something for us to really unpack.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things that Toni Morrison wants us to realize is that if we are living this life, then we are creators automatically. We create our life. And what she wants to discuss is the decisions that we make consciously or subconsciously to create our own life. And she wants to bring in methods to help us create differently. And because we're not powerless, we're not completely powerless in our life situations. And where we do have the control, where we do have the power, we can very easily, very quickly shift things. So how do you guys feel about that in the chat? You guys are a little bit quiet right now. Your questions are super important as they definitely guide the channeling. And so tell me how you feel about being a creator. Like, bam, you're a creator right now. How does that make you feel? Are you happy with what you're creating in life? Think about using Zoom is that the delay is
Yeah, I think there's a little
kind of
bit of
annoying.
a delay.
Morgan says just absorbing, but yeah, never felt worthy of sharing anything. Yeah, it's not necessarily about even sharing. It's just about how you are creating. What decisions are you making in your own life? It's not about necessarily being an artistic creator, whether you're making anything physical. It's about, did you decide to get up and sweep today? That's creating your life.
Yeah, I was going to say the thing that came into my mind when you said that was, I think of the game Sims or games of that nature where really every decision you do, it creates the plot line, it creates the storyline. So yeah, it's about those every little minute choices and how that evolves into creating the plot of our lives.
Exactly. So one thing that's coming up right now that she mentions is, do you make the decision to call that guy who is pretty crappy to you, but you want to call him because you feel like you want some attention? Do you decide to continue feeding that storyline in your life? If you do decide to continue giving that person the energy, giving him some of your power more, you're creating that storyline more within yourself. And there's no judgment. Let's not say positive or negative here, but we are making a conscious choice if we're going to feed that storyline, if we're going to create more of that storyline, or we can choose another path for ourselves. We can say, okay, well, I know what's going to happen if I continue feeding that storyline with this person who doesn't value me. Let's see what happens if I decide differently. Let's see what happens if I decide to value myself and go another way. And so that's what she means by us being creators in our own lives. It's as simple as that. And we don't value that enough. We don't value like the power that we have within the choices that we make in our lives. And this is something that she says the word preaching. I get triggered by the word preaching. That I've been channeling a lot within these last maybe even a year now, but there's so much power behind our choices, our decision making, and it's not always going to be easy. Sometimes it will take us literally dragging ourselves by the hair to get us to change our behaviors. Sometimes our natural behaviors are not actually feeding us, are not actually nurturing us in the way that we would like to grow. And we have to make that choice and see, what is it that I'm creating today? Am I creating more chaos, or am I creating something that's more loving myself, that's more expansive? Perhaps you deciding to stay with this person, to reach out to this person, is more expansive for you because there's more for you to learn there. maybe that's possible. Making that conscious choice that there's more for you to learn in the situation is also something to keep in mind. Morgan says, I often slump and don't even try. And Monica says, yes, I truly believe we are the God particle creators through awareness, thoughts, and action. Exactly. Cadence, hello. Yes, I've told you very similar things. This message needs to beat into me. I love Cadence. So, with that said, what questions do you have? I don't know if I'm going into trance. We'll take it. We'll see how it goes. But Jasmine will be asking the questions, and then we'll see if I end up trancing out or not. I'm going to get a little bit comfortable.
All right.
She really wanted, meaning Toni Morrison really wanted this to be casual, like open question, us sitting back in our armchairs, drinking hot tea or coffee. She's very about like the vibe. Like
the vibe.
Yes. Like this is like, she told me to wear this dress. She told me she wanted the plant to be in the scene.
I love that.
I was like, I'm not drinking coffee today, but I was like, I need to make sure I have my hot water, lemon, and my space needs to be prepared a particular way. So, yeah. Just to let you guys know what goes into preparation of these channelings. Hey, Melissa. So there's something that I would like to share with you first that she's bringing my attention to, something that she said to me earlier this week as I was even preparing for this channeling, when there was some doubt in my mind when I wasn't sure if people would even be interested in this. And what she said to me is, let's not create through our fears, create through our love and desires, our grandest expectations, instead of creating from a small and timid place. So I was really, when I was preparing for this, I really wasn't sure if I wanted to share that I was even doing this. But she was like, what do you want? What is the ideal scenario? Do you want like only one person to be in this live and for you to just be talking to yourself? Or do you want there to be lots of sisters around you just soaking up all the creativity and love? And is that what you want to create? And she reminds us that when a fear comes up, to ask yourself, what do you want? What would make you overjoyed? And replace it with that, so that you're not creating through your fears, that you're creating through your heart. So with that said, I think people are asking questions now. So let's jump into that.
So I do see Melissa has asked, how do we cultivate love when everyone is so distant?
Love is all expansive. Love doesn't need physicality. Love is energy. Love is available in all forms. You can send love through a letter, through your mind, even by connecting with a person. You can send love through creating and sending a little text message. You can send love through taking a picture of yourself, setting your intentions with how would this person like to receive love today, and in what space are you available to send love today. Love is available in all forms. Do not limit yourself to just physical interactions, physical space. This is what it's teaching us. To not just rely on the physical, intimate side of things, but also how emotionally are you there for someone? It is time to get creative in terms of how we show up for people now. We can show up for people in all different ways. You see on social media, people are doing all these different lives to connect, to teach people other things for free. Maybe because they're bored, but also because they love it as well. And there are just new ways people are able to connect with each other, to develop different types of bonds, and it's beautiful. So let's not think about the old ways of doing things. Let's think about what can we do now in this moment to connect with people. Now, if it's different in that you are deeply missing that physical intimacy, deeply missing that hug, that touch of another being, I send compassion to you and I understand. So let's bring that into your space. Let's bring in plants, like I told Alanna to bring in this plant. There are different beings that we can invite into our spaces so that we don't feel as alone, even though we are never alone. So being in nature, bringing nature to us through purchasing plants, fostering animals, bringing people into our homes through videos. You are all in my home today. Does that answer?
Thank you. We had a question earlier that I will ask. How can I heal the wounds that racism has created between women? What can I do to create connection and bring together all women?
You cannot heal other people's racism. You can heal your own racism. You can heal your own wounding related to that by realizing that you are completely in charge of your own power, and that whoever tries to get in your way, well, you can bypass them. You can step away from them. You can do whatever it takes for you to maintain that light inside of you. Why? Because screw them. That's why. Do you think I would have achieved everything that I did, published all of the books that I did, if I was so afraid of what white men were thinking about me? If I was so afraid of what other people were consciously throwing at me all the time? Yes, there were moments that I was timid, that I was fearful, a little bit fearful, but I had to go on because this is me. And I could not live life crouching down, continuing to bear those burdens on my back for other people and continuing to dim my light. Can you repeat the question, please? I got a little lost.
Yes, it was a bit of a two-parter. How can I heal the wounds that racism has created between women? What can I do to create connection and bring together all women?
Bringing together all women. What makes you believe that all women are meant to be together? There are times when some women are meant to learn lessons separately. I would like to rephrase your question into, how can you empower yourself to be authentic? Can we agree on that? I'll wait. It is not our job to create stories for other people. It is not our job to say, here, you are a project of mine, and let me pull that racism out of you. Let me heal you from this racism. That is not our job. And sometimes it's nearly impossible. There have been racists for hundreds, thousands of years. What does that help us do? Realize that we cannot save everyone. We can save ourselves. And we can realize that it is for us that life is to be lived. And it is for us to go out in the world as our full, authentic selves as we can. And not be fearful of these metaphorical bullets that may come our way. Why? Because I'm not afraid of death. And as long as I'm being myself, then you cannot hurt me. There's so many ways I've hurt myself through my own judgments. How can anyone else hurt me when I am so judgmental of myself? Did I answer? I want to make sure that I'm being clear with you guys. Please ask for clarification if that's needed. The topic of racism is obviously very controversial in terms of how we as Black women and as women of color should handle it. But I do not want us to be victims at all. Yes, we've been victimized. I'm not downplaying that whatsoever. But don't you think it's intentional that people want us to stay small? Don't you think that there's a purpose behind that? So let's see what happens when we do the opposite. I know it feels like there are millions fighting against us, but when you are your own best friend, when you are fighting, when you're on your own side, then that doesn't matter. Please understand that my teachings in this world might be different from when I was in physical form. I am not attached to the stories of those past. And my hope is that you guys can do the same.
Thank you. Morgan says, that's been tough for me, wanting to help shift others' perspectives to love and compassion, but realizing all I can do is embody love and compassion myself.
Embody love, and we are not here to pity people either. We are not here to pity people. We are here to recognize the power within each and every one of us. We are each other's mirrors.
I have a question to offer myself. Or, oh, actually, looks like Monica just offered a question. She said, April 4th, 2020, translated numerologically, is 444. Toni, did you feel our magnificent meditation yesterday by many coming together globally? Did you feel the frequencies?
That is an interesting question. I'm not in physical form, so I feel everything and nothing at the same time. I'm in the void, if you'd like to call it that. Humans have such interesting labels and terminology. I believe you were asking if I need prayers, but I do not need saving. And I'm so thrilled and happy that you are all sending each other love.
I'd like to ask if there's anything that you can offer for those that may be feeling stuck or feeling less creative because of crises that are happening around them.
Can you provide a specific example, my dear?
Yes. For example, those of us that may have lost employment or having life changes that are drastically altering the perceived paths that people may have had. For example, I know a friend that they had a conference that they felt was really going to affect the trajectory of their career path, and now that will no longer take place. So I'm just wondering, Is there maybe some guidance or words of support to offer people that are in this space of feeling that the doors are closing around them?
When doors are closing, new doors appear ahead. With endings always come new beginnings. And perhaps your dreams have not died yet. There might be a pause, perceivable pause in your minds. But perhaps this isn't even a redirection. Perhaps it's a moment of grand opportunity. Have you thought about maybe the universe is planning something that you have never even thought of, bigger than your greatest desires? And maybe your small ideas are turning into something massive. Are you going to keep holding on to the small idea because you have no clue what the future may hold? Are we going to let fear absorb us that much? The future has not been decided for us yet. So why are we so afraid right now? Let us be present and grieve if you must. Grieve about the things that you have lost. Grieve about the potential opportunities that may have passed. And after your grief, there is a moment of silence, a moment of stillness, when you realize that you know nothing. You have no clue what's going to happen. And that is beautiful. That opens up all of the doors of opportunity.
Thank you. I'll offer another question while we wait for more from the audience. I did hear that you wanted to speak about children and creativity. Did you want to speak more on that now?
I have a question for those listening. How do you allow your children to creatively express themselves? And I don't just mean through artwork. I mean, how do you allow them to emote? How do you allow them to be authentic and real within themselves? And what space are you holding for children? The alternative is to shut them out. And then it will take them years to recover and realize that they have a voice. So I ask you, tell me what you are doing for your children now to go cultivate that language so that they do not edit themselves, they do not mute their emotions. Please tell me.
I'll answer while we wait for any answers. I do know for my own children, I just feel most people are emotional, so I wouldn't want to say that my children are themselves emotional, but the way that they do express their emotions, maybe others would feel is too expressive, or maybe that expression is best fit within the home and not outside in public. And that's one thing that I know myself that I'm working through with really putting up that boundary of not allowing other people's perceived feelings or perceived perceptions of me stop my purpose or my goal in allowing myself and my children to be our full selves. Which it really, as you were asking that question, it made me think about how are we allowing that within ourselves? Because I feel it is hard for adults to allow this with children when we don't allow this in our own lives.
Our children are our mirrors. So where you might see them as acting out, potentially they are showing you what you need to release within yourself. So I welcome your discussions about children and how they relate to you. I welcome those questions as well, for they are your creations and God's creations.
I do have a question relating to children. Are today's children born in the fifth dimensional resonance?
Human terms. What if they were, and what if they weren't? I mean that in every loving way, but how is that relevant? Would you treat them any differently?
I do have one more question for children before we change topics a little bit. Now with a lot of kids not in school, I do notice a lot of parents experiencing worry or concern about their children's education, and possibly how can they continue to foster their children's education at home or outside of the school setting. If there's anything that you would like to say more on that as well.
More time and patience with your children. Be more loving and understanding that this is a change for them as well. And that they may not learn the same way as others, and that they may need to adapt differently. That every day may be different. This is a learning period for us all, for parents and children. So do not force yourselves into a box. Learn from each other. When children get cranky because they are tired and they no longer want to learn and they want to rest their minds, that is a lesson for us all. To not force ourselves to do things. Rest is important. This transition is important. To be more at ease with ourselves instead of forcing ourselves to continue the same exact scenarios at school in the home. How can we do that when it's a completely different environment, completely different relationships? So while we are teachers to our children, children are our teachers as well. So what can you learn from your children?
Stacy Garcia said, I let them express their thoughts with no judgments. They know home is a safe place to be themselves. I encourage them to ask questions and share emotions.
Do you share your emotions? Do you let them know how you are feeling and why? Do you show your humanness? Do you hear the ice cream truck in the background as we're talking about children?
I do.
It's all about the vibe.
I'll go to a few questions that were asked earlier. I am writing my thesis, but every time I think I'm doing everything wrong, and I stop the whole process and go into being afraid. How can I stop this cycle? Kavita Binda asks.
Can you repeat that, please?
Yes, I am writing my thesis, but every time I think I'm doing everything wrong, and I stop the whole process and go into being afraid.
What is wrong? What is wrong? What do you feel that wrong is? I'd like you to answer that first, and then we can continue with the question. I think it's important to understand what your perception of wrong is. And in this, we can deeply understand the programming that we have within us. Let's erase the words wrong and right when we're creating. How does that make you feel when we erase those words, those judgmental words of wrong and right? And you just do what comes to you in the present moment. And maybe it won't be as relevant later on, and that's fine.
They respond that wrong is that there may be a bit of a language barrier here a little bit. It says wrong is that don't do the things by the scientific rules and that it's not interesting enough.
Not interesting enough to whom? Please go back to the question and replace wrong with her words. I'm merely trying to understand.
I believe she's saying that wrong in her perspective is when she doesn't follow the scientific rules.
Let's get confirmation from her. You may all ask your personal questions as well while we wait.
While we wait, Seza 1980 asks, do you have any messages for me, please?
What is your name, dear? All of these messages are for you, so you may need to be more specific with your questions.
Kavita responds to the last response. It's just that I think I can't do anything. I am not good enough to do a master.
These words of judgment, where are they coming from? Are they your feelings or from others? Where are you absorbing these from? Where did you learn this from? To beat yourself up in such a way? There surely is a reason that you decided to go on this path. What was that reason? And how did you lose it? How did you lose that lust for education and the path that you were on? What caused you to lose that spark? Why do you think that I can bring that out in you? I cannot write your paper for you. Perhaps you need a break. If you do not like the topic, perhaps you need a new one. But perhaps you like your topic and you are just creating excuses for yourself. Perhaps your inner critic is getting out of hand. How do you really feel about what you're nurturing and what you are creating today? How would you feel if your child was saying these words to you? What would you say? Would you say that the idea is stupid? Would you call the child stupid?
Melissa has a question. What messages of creative spirituality can I convey to those who don't have any foundation?
There's a judgment there. Those who don't have any foundation. Why do you assume that they don't have a foundation just because their idea of spirituality is different from yours? Please rephrase the question.
Vera asks, how can we connect with and trust our inner creativity?
Tap into yourselves through meditation, spending alone time, and then do whatever comes out of you, write whatever comes out of you, sing whatever comes out, dance without editing yourself, and keep doing it, and keep doing it, and keep doing it. How are you to not trust whatever comes out of you? It is all relevant. That's the first step. Letting it come out of you without editing yourself. And then deciding, that was fun. I'd like to continue down this path. Or, this was a great release. I want to continue doing this. Making the decision within yourselves. Starting is the first step. And not editing yourselves. For how can you edit yourself from yourself?
Melissa is rephrasing her question. Her question is now how to help others be more open to sharing their own creative spirituality.
I ask you, are these people approaching you, asking for help to be more open? I'd like to say that when you yourself are open, then others will see that and be inspired. Language is important here. It's important for us to acknowledge when we're making judgments. And I do this in a loving way. It is helping with the programming that we have.
Monica has a question about your time on Earth in your last incarnation as Toni. What did you learn and what did you experience?
Last is an interesting statement because the concept of time is so human. So I will pick one incarnation. that was so loving to me, in which I was able to share what was deepest within my heart, deepest within my soul. I was able to share my words and give a voice to many who felt unheard. I was able to share, and it echoed within. And my creations lasted because I continued to give it a voice and not smother it. I'm so proud of myself for continuing to light my own fire. And I'm here to encourage you to do the same. Who is belittling you today? Is it yourself?
Thank you. Kavita wants to add, thank you for your answer. Yes, their inner critic gets out of control and then they just stop writing.
My dear, are you afraid of your own words? Sometimes it's time to push the critic aside and let it all come out freely. Start by breathing, doing the oneness technique, and letting it all onto paper, no matter if it's relevant to your study or not. Do not edit yourselves. If there is anything for you to learn today, it is that. When you are feeling stuck, it is because you created a passage that is too small for your mightiness. So let's open up more. Let's open up and allow all the possibilities. And we do that through silence, by releasing the pressure we put upon ourselves to meet a certain deadline, to cover a particular topic. What I like to do is take a break, step away, do something else to distract myself. Movement may help you through exercise, walking, or cardio.
Kavita would like you to explain what is the oneness technique.
Oneness technique is something that Pamela Ehrlin taught. Okay, this is me, Alanna. So this is part of Pamela's Kripa yoga technique, where you take a deep breath in, hold it for however long, and while you're holding the breath in your head, continue saying one repeatedly. And what it does is reset things. And I don't remember in my brain the technical terms. If someone remembers it who takes Pamela's classes, that would be wonderful if you could type it in, or you can check out Pamela's Patreon. But you continue saying one while you're holding your breath. And then when you exhale through your mouth, say one time as you are exhaling completely and deeply. back into the earth. And so you do that 3 times. And that is a good way to reset your mind. Make sense, Kavita? I was kind of in a half trance there.
Thank you for explaining that for us.
Mm-hmm.
Are you okay for a next question?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go back into that half trance state. So.
And Kavita says, thank you for the explanation.
You're welcome. Yes, I'm ready.
Great. Actually, while we're here, can I actually check on the channel? How is the channel doing?
I'm good.
Okay.
Good. Thank you.
Excellent. Candace was asking, she has a few questions. First question is, how can I contribute to my younger cousin's growth while living with them?
One second. Still a lot in here. I'm stretching.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. I told you I was ready, and I really wasn't. I'm going to drink more water. How's everyone doing right now? How's it going? How are you, Jasmine?
I'm doing great. I'm really enjoying this, honestly.
Good. Do you need more water?
I was going to say I'm going to take a bit of a drink now.
Okay. I'm going to do some breathing, and then I'll be ready.
Great.
Why is everyone so quiet? Let me know that you're alive, and then I'll go back to channeling. But I want to like put some life into the room.
Indira says, great listening.
Great. Happy to have you, Indira.
Simply Divine says, had a profound healing and great as well.
Okay. What about everyone else? Are you guys awake?
Yeah, we've got some responses. Morgan also says, love this. You guys are awesome.
Just want to make sure.
Yeah, they're responding. So they're just taking it all in. And Morgan is distracted with neck pain. I'm sorry to hear that.
I'm sorry. Hope you feel better. Okay. I think I can do a few more minutes, and then so like maybe like 10 more minutes.
Okay.
She does want us after the channeling to just spend a little bit of time discussing our learnings and our humanness, and just sharing.
Cool.
Okay.
Great. Cadence is asking, how can I contribute to my younger cousin's growth while living with them?
I don't understand the question. Can you rephrase it?
While she rephrases it, she added a little bit to this. How can I contribute to the growth
Sorry for
of my little
interrupting.
brother?
Specifically growth.
Mm.
What kind of growth? I want everyone to understand that when they are asking how can they do this one thing for another being that has not specifically asked for it, you can do a world of a difference when you prioritize yourselves, when you do things compassionately for yourself, when you're nurturing yourself, when you're not shutting off your own creativity, when you are going forth with your own desires, when you are learning, when you are moving your body, when you are connecting with your body, when you are connecting with your spirit. That is the first thing. Take care of yourselves. If you have children, of course they need to be nurtured too. But neglecting yourselves is dangerous. So when you ask yourself, how can you help people around you? Be an example. What are your needs that you are ignoring? People notice shifts within others, and perhaps the children around you will see when you start prioritizing yourself, when you start deepening the connection you have within yourself, and they will do the same for themselves. We are here to feed ourselves, and by feeding ourselves, we feed others. Does that answer your question?
Cadence did have a little bit on the end. I feel you did address it a little bit, but she did ask, what can I do to support the children in my life?
I feel that answer is complete.
Thank you.
But children need laughter too. So give them a place to laugh. Allow them to be silly. Allow them to express themselves freely. That is an answer for you all. Someone is asking about discipline. Discipline is unique to each individual situation. But let us not forget that children have voices. And it's important that we learn the consequences of our actions and that children learn the same.
Alanna mentioned that you had a few techniques that you wanted to share with us. If you would like to share that with us now.
I have shared them within my responses.
Ooh. Any more questions from the audience before we close? One more question from Kavita. For what purpose can we connect to our ancestors?
I want you to know that ancestors can bring upon a lot of pain, unhealed wounds. Not everyone has ascended. Not everyone has reached enlightenment, as you say. So when connecting with your ancestors, ask yourself if this is true, if this is something that you'd like to bring on, if this is helpful, if it's loving. Ask if it helps with your goals, with your inner strength, with your inner knowingness.
We have one last question from Monica. How can we receive benefit from contrast in our daily lives?
Can you rephrase that? I don't know what that means. I'm not getting anything either.
Hmm.
And that will be our last question. Kavita, you can know that through asking yourself if it's true for you. I don't remember all the words that were said, but asking yourself how it feels for you. If Monica wants to rephrase her question, and then that can be the final one, and we can talk about our feelings and what to do from here. But if not, okay. No, that's Kavita says when we want to heal something in the family line, I also ask first, no. And this is Alanna talking. What Toni Morrison is saying is that when connecting with your ancestors, they don't always have something, they're not always in alignment with what it is that you have set forth to do. So they might have other agendas, or they might have other things that they're other agendas based on their own woundings. So you have to ask yourself if this is something that you want to be a part of, if this is serving you in your purpose or not, which is a different topic from ancestral healing. That's not what it's about. How can we benefit from negativity? I'm feeling tired. I'm not really connecting right now. So I'm sorry. I think the The tap is closed. So let's talk about where to go from here and how we can integrate this within our lives. To recap, we are creating our own lives. We are the creators in our own lives. And that means that whatever comes our way, we have decisions that we can consciously make. And it's important to feel empowered by that and not feel stifled or feel like that's a scary thing. Because whatever decisions we make, we are learning lessons regardless. And we're learning more about ourselves. And removing the idea of whether it's right or wrong from the equation can be very empowering. And just remember that there's always another choice, there's always another option that may come up as well. So, does anyone have anything to say before we wrap up? Jasmine, is there anything you want to say?
Oh, honestly, I'm probably in the same boat as everyone else, just absorbing it and just really taking the time to let it sit where it needs to sit. I mean, there's really a lot there, really, mostly for children. The stuff pertaining to children really, really hit me, especially because I recognize very, very consciously how much children are mirrors for us. And so I see it in my own life of how much we don't really allow ourselves to listen to our own voice, how much that inner critic comes out in the way that we critique other people and critique the people around us, you know, especially maybe our children, because we're concerned with grooming them and helping them to become a certain best self. But if we haven't really unpacked the ways in which we don't allow our own self to be our best self, it can really be a blind spot. And that's something where I really felt that confirmation here, where, you know, do we listen to ourselves? Do we allow ourselves to play? Do we allow ourselves to create without an expectation of the creation has to have a reason for existing? All of those things I felt were very important and maybe meaningful to take from this.
Wonderful. So that was quite different from the Kali Ma channelings. Quite different. How was it for me? It was good. Toni Morrison is definitely more quiet than Kali Ma. And so, and also, like, she often asked, did I answer your question? Did I answer your question? She wanted feedback to make sure that it was making sense to you, because I think since she was in her human form so recently, it's usually like they understand that humans are different and process things in a different way. So that, like, Kali Ma, sometimes her responses are just very like, woo. And then I need to like ask for more clarification to make it more human. And Toni Morrison, with her, language was very important, like in terms of any judgments we were making upon ourselves or others. And I just thought that was interesting. And so I enjoyed it. So hopefully, yeah, if let me know who you guys want me to channel next, or if there are any specific topics that you'd like to cover. And I think that's it. I love you guys. Thank you for being here. I'm going to end the stream. And, you know, like this and share with your people if you want to. Take care, everyone. Have a beautiful Sunday.